Welcome, everybody. If you're just joining us, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat. Seeing some familiar faces, it's good to see you all.
Hey, everybody, we had a lot of folks RSVP today, so we're going to give it another minute in hopes that they're all able to get in. And also, please sign into the chat so that we can have a record of who was here. Thank you. And this is being recorded, folks, just so you know. Okay, we're going to respect everybody's time here by getting started. Drew will continue to let people in as they come in. And if you have not already done so, please sign in the chat so that we have a record of who was here. And Drew, if you wouldn't mind going to the first page, I would appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. Happy New Year. My name is Noreen Landis Tyson, and I am serving as a consultant to the JIUPK team. And at least for the moment, I'm filling in as the UPK manager. We have several of our UPK, well, actually, I think all of our UPK staff members, except for Shay, on this call. Heather Mayhew is one of our family resource navigators. Carla Rivera Ramirez is the other family resource navigator. She is bilingual in English and Spanish. Drew Drescher is running our slide today and is the glue that kind of holds us all together. He's our pre-K assistant. Ryan Berry is our UPK data specialist, and you will hear from him in just a moment. So that's who we are. Shay is the overall director of the Foundations program, and she's off on maternity leave for another month. And so she'll be back with us soon. So today's agenda is welcome and introductions. Then we're going to talk about UPK and El Paso County by the numbers. We're going to do some year one reminders and clarification. We're going to take some time right after that to answer any questions you may have about year one. Then we're going to go on to year two and what to expect in the timelines as best as we know at this point. We're going to go through several frequently asked questions, and then at the end of that, we are going to answer any additional questions you have. Throughout this presentation, you are more than welcome to put questions in the chat should you choose, but during the question periods, there will also be opportunities for you to unmute yourself and ask whatever questions you would like. However, we would request that you use the raised hand so that we can make sure that we don't miss anybody and that we are keeping some structure to this. So again, for any of you who have come on and have not yet signed into the chat, please do so. Drew? Okay, we're going to turn this over to Ryan. He is our data person, and he allows us to have all sorts of information that helps us make really good decisions for not only what we're doing now, but what we hope to do in the future. So Drew's going to provide you some context as to where we are now. Drew?
I'll go ahead and be introducing this data for everyone. My name is Ryan. I am our data specialist here at Joint Initiatives. We are sitting at 179 providers here in El Paso County. We have 79 childcare centers that have registered as UPK providers in El Paso County. We have 68 school district-based programs. All 15 public school districts in El Paso County are participating. We do have 30 family child care homes that are participating as well. We've been finalizing some final ones, and they are joining for this year as well. The total number of active applications that we are experiencing right now is 9,787. This is around 1,000 more than the last time that we spoke previously. So we are still receiving applications and still assisting families for the current school year. The total number of registered UPK seats is 5,197. This has also increased slightly since the last time that we all spoke. The total number of 4-year-olds who are enrolled, that's the number of kiddos who are actually in that enrolled status in bridge care, is 4,350. The total number of 3-year-olds who are being served through the various school districts in UPK is 1,046. And we do still have 840 4-year-olds who are waiting to be matched with a program with a provider.
Thanks, Ryan. Does anybody have any questions about any of that data before we move on? Okay. All right. So as I said, we are starting with year one reminders, and year one is the year that we are currently in. It is the 2023-24 school year, UPK year, that we are currently in. So just as a reminder, only children who were 4 years old prior to October 1, 2023, which is the year before kindergarten, they're in their year before kindergarten, are eligible for UPK during the current year, regardless of whether they turn 4 after October 1. So it is not based on their 4-year-old birth date. It is based on their eligibility for kindergarten. There is an asterisk on October 1 because, as you all know, school districts are able to choose their own kindergarten cutoff date. So there are some within our county that have a different date other than October 1. But the family is eligible for UPK if they are in their year before kindergarten. We have had some people refer families to us who have just turned 4 and said, sign up for UPK, and they can't. They're still considered to be 2 years out from kindergarten during this particular program year. So as I said, the 2 years before, the children who are in their 2 years before kindergarten during the current school year can only receive UPK support from their home school district. We are still receiving, as Ryan said, new applications. Families can still apply for the 23-24 school year. We are reviewing those applications weekly, and we are sending them to the top 2 providers that the family chooses and letting you know that this is a new applicant and these are the 2 that you are one of the 2 that they have chosen. The exception to that, however, is families are still able in their application to choose up to 10 providers or programs. And if we have a family that has chosen a variety of programs in their new application, we are instead sending it to either Heather or Carla, and they are calling the family to kind of narrow down what it is they would like. And then we are sending it on to the folks that they are interested in after having a better discussion with them. This is particularly the case if we know that their top 2 providers in the system have no seats. Our goal obviously is to try and get families into an open seat. So, yeah, so that's how we're handling that. Next. So the state has provided us some guidance on what they're expecting for drops and unenrollments from your program. If you have a child who withdraws or stops attending, the expectation on the part of the state is that you will unenroll a child within 1 week of that. And that you need to notify us by email of the reason for the unenrollment so we can make a note in the child's application. This helps us to figure out how we want to handle that application moving forward. So if we find out that someone is leaving from your program to go to another program, we want to be able to support that with the family. So that's good to know. If they're moving out of state, then we're obviously not going to spend additional resources on following up with them. And so we really do need to know as much as possible why that family is unenrolling. And yeah, so within 1 week. If the family stops communicating with you, provider just like goes MIA, then you must enroll within 1 week. But you need to have in your files the attempts that you've made to contact the family so that if anybody were to ask, that you can say, look, we called them 3 times or whatever. And then you need to, at the end of that attempt to make that contact, then you must unenroll within 1 week. And by the way, some of you are struggling with being able to unenroll. Your other option is to send us an email at the same time that you tell us that they are dropping. You can send us an email and say, please unenroll this family. Their last date of attendance was X, or please unenroll this family. They will be enrolling as of X date. The provider may continue enrollment for a child as long as they attend sometime during the payment month. So we certainly know that there are families, particularly military families, that will want to, after a deployment or something of that sort, they will want to, leave the area for several weeks. And that is okay as long as they attend at least once during the payment period. And the payment period is the month. Okay. So, if you have a family that actually is not going to be attending during the payment period, you have to unenroll them. And if you want to save the seat there, you can contact us to reduce your UPK number by 1 and then increase it again when the child returns. But there is no payment for that period because you're not actually serving the child in UPK. And you cannot backdate the unenrollment, but you can list a future unenrollment date so that you don't forget to unenroll on the last day that the child is attending. So again, up to you. If you're unable to unenroll the child, then please reach out to us and let us know and we'll help you. Next. Thank you. So if you have any payment issues that need to be handled, you have to create a ticket with Metrics IQ. And here is the place to do that. The payment report is being pulled at the end of the day on the 15th of each month. So for this month, the payment report will be pulled on the end of the day of January 15th. Students and this is a change, so please pay attention to this. Students eligible for payment the following month must have a completed enrollment form with a start date that is by the 15th of the payment month. So here's an example. If you have a kiddo who has an enrollment form that was completed by January 15th and their actual start date is by at least February 14th, you will receive full month payment for February. Okay. So, this allows you to be able to be, completely open and honest about when the child is actually attending or starting to attend. So, you're still going to be paid for the entire month of February, as long as that child's start date is by February 14th, but you have to have them enrolled by January 15th. And if that's not clear to people, let me know so that I can go over it again. According to the payment schedule for the 23-24 year, the last payment for year one will be on May 9th for children enrolled as of April 15th and starting in your program by May 14th. Okay, so on May 9th, you will be paid for the children that you have enrolled as of April 15th in enrolled status, and their start date is by May 14th. You will be paid for the entire month of May. That is the last payment. Once a provider's UPK calendar has ended, which should be made clear for families, enrollment over the summer months is at the complete discretion of the provider in accordance with their published rate schedule. There is no UPK support over the summer months. Okay, so if you have not already published your end date for UPK to families, you should figure that out and please make sure you do it. All right, let's stop there and find out if you have any questions about anything that I just covered or anything about year one, the current year that you still have outstanding questions about. We're going into year two in a minute, so let's just stick with year one. Questions there?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Where do we see our wait lists at? Is it on the provider hub?
No, you can't see your wait list. We have sent you, anybody who had a wait list, we sent them to you before break, before winter break. If you did not get one, it's because you don't have a wait list. So, and then new applications are being sent to you once a week as they come in, as we discussed previously. Okay?
Okay,
So, if you did not get a wait list, then you don't have any. If you did get a wait list, then that wait list hasn't changed.
okay. Yeah, I got a wait list. I just can't find the email.
Oh,
So I just
well, all
wondered
right.
if there was somewhere else to look.
So Heather is making notes of tasks of fun things to do, and she will resend you your wait list. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? So you're obviously not here for year one, so let's talk about year two. Okay, now I'm going to, before we do this, I'm gonna have a caveat here. There are still dates and situations that have not been decided or are as yet are unknown to us if they have been decided. So what we are sharing with you is the information that we have as of today. If you have not signed up for the UPK newsletter, I highly recommend that you do that, because that is where you're going to get a tickler, basically, of new information that is up on the UPK page, deadlines, anything of that sort. So, and more than one person in your agency can sign up for it if you want that to happen. And you can also have parents sign up for it. So if you want parents to know what's happening from a family perspective, have them sign up. So that information in terms of where to sign up is later in this, but you know, sign up. Okay, so now we're going to go back and we're going to talk about some principles of UPK. So first of all, and these have not changed from, this is all the stuff that's in the UPK legislation, okay? So UPK is designed for children in their year before kindergarten. It is not designed for 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds were included in the legislation because they were included in services through the Colorado preschool program previously, and there was concern that they would be left out. So as you know, the Colorado preschool program was run by school districts. So therefore 3-year-old funding and 3-year-old enrollment through UPK can only be done with the child's home school district. Okay, so that was not what UPK was designed for. It is designed for the year before kindergarten. So you as private providers The only support available to children is in their year before kindergarten. So part of the principles are ensuring continuity of care if at all possible. That was kind of crazy this year, and it's going to be less crazy next year, and we're going to talk about what that's going to look like. So among new children, those who are not currently being, do not have priority support, the whole philosophy behind this is supporting equitable access to a variety of high quality early care and education providers of the family's choice. It's a mixed delivery system. Okay. So equitable access is key. So we're going to talk about what's happening this next year that's going to continue to support that. It is meant to mitigate the cost of preschool by supporting a minimum of 10 hours per week, part-time, for 36 weeks, free of charge for families. But all children in their year before kindergarten are eligible for a minimum of 15 hours per week, provided they are enrolled in a program that is offering them a minimum of 15 hours. So obviously they're not eligible for 15 hours if they're enrolled in a program that only provides them 10 or 12 hours of care. At that point, they're only eligible for that. And support school districts and administrative units in serving children with IEPs. That's a legal qualification, a legal requirement of the school districts, and that is built into UPK. Okay, next. All right, so let's talk about the program and rates for 2024-25. These programs have not changed. The rates have gone up by 2%. So the programs are part-time, which is you're committing to provide families with between 10 and 14 hours of UPK per week for a minimum of 36 weeks. The payment amount may not be exact to the penny, but it's awful close. So it's $483 per month times 10 months. And if a family is enrolled in a part-time program with you and you're providing between 10 and 14 hours per week, you may not charge the family for any of those hours. A half-day program is defined as between 15 and 29 hours per week for 36 weeks. You are being paid approximately $603, $604 per month times 10 months. That is for 15 hours. Anything above that, you may charge the family, but it has to be in accordance with your published rates. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Okay. And then you can offer a full day program, and that is 30 plus hours per week for 36 weeks. And you would be paid $1,067.68 per month times 10 months. And the 30 hours for those families who qualify for that are free, and families may be charged for hours above 30 hours. All right, so let's talk about that part a little bit more. This rate is only for those children who qualify for 30 hours per week of UPK and are enrolled in a full day or an extended day UPK program. All right, so what qualifies a family for 30 hours? They have to be low income. So they have to be stating that they make less than the amount in the application that is put forward for them based on the number of people that they have in their family. And they have to have a second eligibility factor. And the second eligibility factor can be very low income, which is basically the poverty level. That's new. And they are going to have to be able to show proof of that. So they're going to have to upload income information in order to claim that as their eligibility factor. They will have to be, or they can be homeless, or they can be in a foster care situation, or they can be an English language learner. So that there was a lot of confusion this year in terms of what it means to be have limited English proficiency. We had several families that thought that that meant that the child is speech delayed. That's not what it means. It means that English is a second language and that they are learning English. Okay, so that will be reworded and much clearer this year when a family enrolls. And the other one is have an IEP. So an IEP does qualify for additional hours as long as that family is also of limited income. Okay. So so the provider will be if the family is not eligible for 30 hours, then the provider will be paid for 15 hours per week, and the family will be responsible for the remaining hours of care according to your published rates. And for this coming year, you have to publish your rates. And that will be in your profile, and that will be enforced this year. It was not enforced last year. We are trying to cut down, well, the state is trying to cut down on surprises for families when they have chosen a full day provider. Even if they're aware of the fact that they're not eligible for 15 hours, and they are aware of the fact that they have to pay for the rest of the hours, in many cases, they had no idea what the provider was planning to charge them. And so they put providers down there that it turned out that they couldn't afford. So you are going to be required to publish your rates. Okay, next. So here is the projected timelines for year 2. And we had a school district one this morning, and we had some people say, well, when are we going to know when these dates are? You'll know when we know. This is what we know so far. So mid-January to early to mid-February, providers, you will be registering. You will be setting up your profile in the new system. So it likely will be a parallel system that runs with the current system. You will all have to reset up. No matter what, you have to reset up. There are different questions that are going to be asked, and a lot of this is really around making sure that that as much information is available to families as is possible, so that they are making the best possible choices at the outset for themselves and their child. Providers can join after this initial period, but they will miss the opportunity for the priority enrollment period, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So mid-Feb, whoa, back up, babe. Back up. Back up. No. No. You got to go to at least, wait a minute, stop. You got to go to at least 11, please. Let me see what 11 says. Yeah, all right, stop, okay, until I tell you to go forward. Okay, so mid-February to mid-March will be the time frame for what the state is calling pre-registration. This is for children with priority status. So it is children who are currently attending with you, children with siblings who are currently attending with you, or children of current employees of your program. Okay. There will not be an algorithm run during this time. This is not for children who are on your wait list. If they're not attending with you, they do not have priority status. Okay. So I do believe that this is going to be on the honor system. But I also believe that the state is going to be really upset if you are telling families who are sitting on your wait list that they have priority status. April to June is open registration and family matching. This will be very similar to how matching was done this year. Families will choose and rank their preferred providers and will be matched to open seats based on a lottery number and an algorithm. Okay. And then in July, we expect that the state will then stop running an algorithm and will revert to what we're doing right now, which is walk-in enrollment. where they will work directly with a provider who has an open seat. And then you will contact us and say, please put this child in this open seat. So at that point, you are managing your own wait list. Okay. And again, we will revert back to sending you families who have applied for UPK and have you on their list as one of their top 2 choices, so that we're feeding you your potential folks, and then from there, you're managing your own seats so that you can get them filled before school begins. Okay. Children with IEPs, that is another system that really involves the school districts at this point. I would suggest that you don't worry about that. Yes, there might be some kids with IEPs who want to come to you because the school district cannot provide them with the number of hours that they need. And those are individual situations that can be addressed. They still have to decline services with the school district. So, yeah, so there you go. All right, next. And there is going to be an opportunity for any and all questions for this stuff after we go through year 2. So put them in the chat or whatever it is you want to do. So in preparing for provider setup, which will be within the next couple of weeks, there will be a new setup form this year. So all UPK providers, new or returning, will need to register once setup is available. So plan for that, please. The minimum information that is needed for setup or registration is the following. Each one of your locations, kindergarten eligibility date, and the school district that that location is in. Providers will be able to choose the kindergarten cutoff date that they are using to register children for UPK. So this year, they are going to ask you to choose the cutoff date that you are using for eligibility for children for their year before kindergarten. So if you are sitting in a school district that has a different cutoff date other than October 1, and you want to consider using that cutoff date for your registration for your kiddos, you will be able to do that. But you are going to have to pay attention to the birth dates of the kiddos who are coming in, and you're attesting that they are eligible for UPK because according to you, they are in their year before kindergarten. Okay. The challenge here is going to be those that are serving kiddos that are in a district that have both an October 1 cutoff date and a September 15th cutoff date. You're going to have to choose, and then you're going to have to discuss with the family what impact that choice would potentially have on them if they have a cutoff date that is somewhere in between. I mean, a birth date that is somewhere in between. In the case of District 49, somewhere in between September 15th and October 1. All right. So you're going to have to look at the kids that I would suggest that in order to decide what you want to do here, I would suggest that you look at the kiddos who are registering with you and see where they live. And the ones that are priority children, see where they live and try to figure out what makes the most amount of sense. You may not have 2 cutoff dates, only 1. Okay, so think about that, look at that, and if you need more help talking that through, you're going to have information provided to you at the end of this as to where you can reach me. Okay, so each location's preschool program type, as well as the languages of instruction. So the type is part day, half day, full day, extended day. All right, and you can have a mix in each one of those locations if you choose to. But you're going to have to figure that out before you register as to what you're offering in that particular location. The number of UPK seats for children who are in their last year of eligibility prior to kindergarten, available in each program and in each location. So not only do you have to decide the program, but you have to decide how many seats you're going to offer up for UPK. Okay. And then you're gonna have to know who your contact information, who your contact is for your authorized representative. In other words, the person who's gonna sign the provider service agreement. So all of those things you're gonna have to have figured out before you start the setup process. And here is the information from where you can reach out to me if you need help in talking through what it is you want to offer for the fall. nglt@mac.com. And Drew, would you put that in the chat, or Heather or somebody again? All right, next slide, please. Okay, we're going to go into a bunch of frequently asked questions. And then at the end of this, we are going to answer any additional questions you have, anything that is not clear, etc. Okay, so the first is, do children who are currently enrolled as 3-year-olds need to re-register for the 24-25 year? Yes. Okay, all families will need to register for the 24-25 year, as some new questions will be asked and the application will be simplified for families. Okay, so we're starting over. Will a family be eligible for priority enrollment if they are on my wait list but not yet attending during the priority registration period? No, we've already talked about that. It's currently attending. Okay, what information will be required on my profile? So this will be available in the next week, but in addition to the information that we've already told you need to have, we want to reiterate that you will be required to publish your rates so that families will know what they will be charged for any additional UPK hours. So you may not have to do that initially, but you are going to have to do it. Okay, next. Thank you, Drew. Do I have to participate for the 24-25 UPK year if I sign up and then decide that it doesn't work for my business? No, you can opt out of UPK at any time, but we suggest that you make that decision before the UPK year begins, because folks are going to be matched with you. And if you decide that you don't want to play, then we have to find places for those families. Okay, so if you're going to opt in, be relatively sure that you think that this is going to work for you. Does this date decide when my 36 weeks of UPK begins? No, you set your own schedule. You set your own calendar. So the expectation is, however, that providers will set up a schedule that at least somewhat aligns with the school district as UPK payments run from August through May. All UPK providers should decide on a UPK calendar that covers 36 weeks of UPK and publish that for families. Okay, again, you don't have to decide that immediately, but before the school year begins, before you're holding families accountable to any kind of contract or anything of that sort, I would highly recommend that you determine what your UPK calendar is going to be and you publish that for families. Do I have to make up snow days and holidays? No. However, if a provider is closed for a full week, that may not be counted in your 36 weeks of UPK. The more you can publish for the family, the better, obviously. Okay. Okay, next. So frequently asked questions. Can I increase or decrease my seats after I have submitted my initial seat verification form? Yes. However, it is easier to increase seats than to decrease seats, particularly after the matching algorithms have begun. If you need help in determining the number of seats, please contact me. Okay. Again, I want you to think through the number of UPK seats that you want to offer to begin with, and then go up from there rather than down. This past year, the guidance was you had to be all in for all of your 4-year-old seats. They backed off on that halfway through the year, and that is not the case this year. So you decide, but you know, remember that this is meant to be equitable access for high quality providers. So if you've got 24-year-old seats and you've got 10 returning children, you know, I'd strongly consider that you put in 15 seats to begin with, so that there's 5 seats in there that can go through the algorithm. Right? And then hold off on your other 5 seats so that, you know, you see what happens with those first 5, and then add seats in rather than putting in 20 and taking them away. Okay? If you want to talk through that more, make an appointment with me and let's talk through it. If I have UPK seats that haven't been filled, can I fill those seats with non-UPK children? Remember, these are UPK seats in this question. So once you have decided on the number of UPK seats that you will offer, those seats belong to UPK unless you contact JI to ask to have your seat numbers reduced. We are constantly supporting families to find a UPK seat and count on the information in Bridge Care concerning your open seats to be accurate. It is really frustrating to a family to be told by us that there is a seat at a provider and then have the provider tell them that they don't have any seats. If you would like UPK seats released, you must call or email to JI to have that done. Okay. This has been a serious issue for us this year. And, you know, with all due respect, it has to stop. If you have put UPK seats into the system, they belong to UPK unless you have told us that you want those seats back and there are no kids in those seats. Okay. So you cannot put 3-year-olds or tuition-based or anybody into those seats unless you tell us that that's what you want to have happen. Really bad relations with families when that happens, really bad. Okay, thank you. Next. I'll get off my soapbox now. How do I get a walk-in child enrolled with me while the algorithm is still running? Until the walk-in period starts in the summer, all children must be run through the algorithm to be matched. Matching will take place based on their lottery number, not when they applied for UPK. It's the same as this year. This supports the core value of equitable access to the providers of the family's choice. After the walk-in period begins, providers will have the option of requesting that a family be placed with them in an open seat. And what's good for all of us at this point is that that walk-in period is likely to start in July instead of November or October, whenever it started. Okay, can I decline a family that has been matched with me? In general, no. Some providers have certain declinations available to them based on the requirements of their program, whether they're a school district or a co-op or some faith-based providers, etc. But in general, providers are obligated to accept the children who have been matched with them. There are some exceptions to this, which can be discussed with a UPK staff member at JI. There may be a limited exception for family child care teachers this coming year as services are provided in their home. Families can decline a proposed match at any time. So it's just a reminder, this has not changed except for the possible declination for family child care homes. This has not been changed from this year. So when you are setting up your profile, if you have certain limitations to who you can serve, you need to make sure that you put that in there in terms of what the requirements are. And you have to choose the ones that from among the ones that are available. If you need a special declination, you are going to have to submit that to the state for their approval. They may or may not approve it. Okay, next. Okay, so that's the end of our frequently asked questions at this point. So now what we want to do is open it up to you for situations that you would like to discuss that you think are going to apply to other people on this call. Otherwise, I'd like to be able to handle those one-on-one. So Penny has said, will we be able to update our rate when they change this summer or fall? The summer or fall rate is the one that you should be publishing. Okay, because you're publishing for 24-25. All right, so determine that now, figure out what that looks like now, and that's the one that you will be publishing. If we offer full day seats, but they don't get filled, can we change seats to half day? So yes, but publishing a new program takes time. It's going to be at least a couple of weeks. So, so it is better at this point that maybe you determine whether or not you want to offer a mix of full day and half day seats and let families choose with you what it is they want. We also have had some providers who have said, you know, I'm only going to offer full day, but then, I'm only going to offer half day, but then for those families who need a full day, they can enroll in half day and then we'll do wrap care. You need to make that clear in your profile that that's actually what you're offering for families. Families that should be choosing full day are choosing it because that's actually what they need, not what they can afford. Okay, so to the best, we are suggesting to you that that if you want to consider offering half day in order to be able to attract folks that that can't afford full day, then to begin with, do your mix. Let's set up the mix. And again, if you're not sure what you should do there, set up an appointment with me and let me talk you through that as best you can. Just to clarify, if a child has a sibling enrolled but is not enrolled themselves, they get priority. That is correct. As long as the sibling is currently attending, then every eligible child in that family, and I mean year before kindergarten, every eligible child in that family gets priority. Okay? As well as employees, children of employees get priority, but they have to be current employees. Okay, people you hire later that have kiddos, we'll get them into a seat in a walk-in status in July, so that they don't have to go through the algorithm, but you may have to increase your seats to do that. So again, we'll just have to look at what that looks like. Okay. Did the state acknowledge some of our suggestions for improvement? For example, having access to see if the family has applied through UPK, so we don't have to contact JI for that. I don't know. We don't know what that is going to look like yet. Sorry, can't answer it. So children on our waiting list need to choose us on their application, and we can't direct enroll them until July. That is correct. At that point, they are going through the algorithm. You can, yeah, that's what's happening. They're going through the algorithm. This year, families were very frustrated that they did not get funding for the full day seats this year. Do we know, wait a minute, I've got something covering that, if the funding is looking better for next year? I can tell you that full day funding is going to be based on exactly what I already told you. That the full day funding is going to be based on the family being low income or limited income, and then having at least one of those other eligibility factors. Then going to change. Okay. So if they have one of those other eligibility factors, as well as being limited income, they will be eligible for 30 hours. What else? Really good questions, folks. What else? You can raise your hand if you want to ask a question in real time. To help guide our program offerings, any insight into what the community needs or want is for half day versus full day programs? Ryan, are you still on, or Heather, or actually any of you? Do you want to unmute and talk about what you've seen here?
I'm sorry, that whole time I was muted. Yeah, so I've been telling providers, particularly those who are just entering the program, that having a variety of that half day, full day is good. Not necessarily ideal to put all into one basket. But as Noreen has also said in the past, do what's best for your business. But if you're in a service area where there are families that can't always do full day, or maybe just only half day, keeping that variety open can mean bringing in more business.
And Noreen, if I add, from a data perspective, we do have the full breakdown of what the enrollment does look like countywide. So if anybody is curious, the way that this breaks down countywide as far as enrollment right now, 34% of the children who are enrolled in El Paso County are in part-time programs, 25% are in full-day programs, 24% are in half-day PM programs, 10% are in half-day AM programs, and 7% are in extended day programs.
Now, that could be based on what is actually being offered as opposed
Yes.
to needed. And so you can imagine, like, school districts, most of the school districts are either doing part day or half day. And that's what's being offered. They're not offering full day. Some of them are, but most are not. Okay. So it does make sense if they're registered with the school district that there's a high number at that point that are in part day or half day, because that's what the school district is offering. I think that we need to take into consideration that the school districts are not offering almost across the board. Their District 11 has some full day programs. Some of the rural districts are offering full day programs. But the larger districts, and CPCD on behalf of District 2 is offering some full day programs for Head Start eligible kiddos. But we need to take into consideration that in general, families who need full day and want UPK support and are eligible for it are counting on private providers, i.e. family child care teachers and centers, to offer that to them. Okay. And so I would be sad to see private providers move away from offering any full day or extended day programs for families, for the simple reason that you know, families need that. If they're working or going to school, they need that opportunity. Okay. So a mix is a good thing if it works for your business. And it also depends upon the area of the city that you are located in. Ryan, you want to talk about where we have way more applications than capacity, please?
I'm happy to. So at the moment, the areas of El Paso County that have the highest needs right now for additional seats and additional providers is definitely zip codes that are located down in District 2, 80910 and 80916 in particular. And then also up in District 20 and District 38. Those are areas where we have received lots of applications, in particular D2 and D20. D2, of course, is close to all of our military bases, kind of sandwiched in between those. Many military families are down here. And this is where the largest population of children age 0 to 5 is located. So District 2 certainly, and then of course up in District 20 and District 38 as well. District 20 is where we have our largest wait lists, and also a very large population of children age 0 to 5, and District 38 as well. D38 and D20 in particular, we saw, I think, more applications than we were anticipating from those particular areas. And so those areas, there is kind of, there's quite a deficit between the number of applications that we had received and the number of seats that were available for children in those areas. So like I said, definitely D38, definitely D20, and definitely D2. Those areas are the highest need areas at the moment.
D49 definitely needs full day seats up there because the district is only providing part day.
Certainly. So that was absolutely something that we recognized in particular with the payment report, is that many of the families in that area, they are receiving that 10 hours of support thanks to D49, but there are quite a lot of families actually in that area who are eligible for full day funding, but are not actually receiving that because they don't have that as an available program option for them. So certainly if providers in that area were interested in opening up full day programs, there is certainly a high need for that in D49.
Heather, did you want to add something?
One of the things Carla and I have seen in the last few months is the need for full day. We've had more parents reaching out, asking for full day options. And when we say we're seeing in your area half day or extended day is too much, but half day is not enough. that full day option is something that they are really looking for. So if that helps you consider whether or not to add that into your program profile, that would be great, because we're not able to direct them to full day options right now.
I do want to clarify one thing there. There really isn't a difference in terms of UPK support between full day and extended day. So extended day is defined as 40 plus hours, but the most amount of UPK support that is available is 30 hours. So I'm really suggesting to providers that we stay away from choosing an extended day option. Just make it full day, and then you can make it as many hours as your little heart desires. You just have to publish your, the hours that you're available in the program. Frankly, I think the state should make extended day go away. I think it just confuses things. But so far they have not done that. And so, if you want to choose extended day as an option, feel free. But I wouldn't, there's no difference in terms of UPK support, as long as you're really clear in the profile that what you're offering. So we're open from 6:30 to 6, and blah, what that looks like. Okay, I hope that helps you, but if it doesn't help you, please reach out to us and we can give you some more specific information. Can students receive child care aware funding as well as UPK? No. You can receive CCAP and UPK, but child care aware negates UPK. Have no idea why. It just is the way it is. So yeah. So unfortunately, military families are going to have to choose. Does D20 need full day? I think we just answered that, but if you want a little bit more information on that, please set up a time to talk with us about that, and we'll give you what information we have specific to where you are located. The struggle we had was that we had families that were matched in our full day time seats, but none of the families qualified for the funding and none wanted to pay for the extra hours. Yeah. And it is part of the reason why we are making sure that your profiles are clear in terms of, if a family is only eligible for 15 hours, and I think that they're going to know that sooner than, I think there's going to be more clarity around that for families. But if they are only eligible for 15 hours and they want a full day program, then you're going to be publishing for them what it is it's going to cost them for that. And therefore, if they know ahead of time that that's not something that they can afford, then they're going to move on to another program. So hopefully you will have less uncomfortable discussions with families. Julie, please. Unmute, please.
I am. I'm sorry. I couldn't get my fingers to work the right way. So I had a weird thing happen. I got the email about the re-registering for the program, and I went into, and so I was reading, all the things they wanted you to have, and I went into my profile, and it actually let me start a new registration. Is that something you've seen?
You should not be allowed to register for 24-25 yet.
Yeah, it gave me all those questions that it asked. It asked me how many seats. It asked me, what, I don't know how I got in there, but it let me in there. So I just thought it was odd because I'm being told that it shouldn't have let me in there, but it did. So I don't know what that was.
So yeah, oops.
Yeah. It's just
we have been, first of all, that email was frustrating because it told you to sign up as soon as possible.
Yeah. Right? And then I guess that's why I was like, okay, I'll look at it. And then it just let me in. It was like the whole thing was all set up. And so it was weird.
Yeah. And then I went back to Jenny at the state, who is our LCO person. And she said, tell them they can't register yet. So, okay. So you can't register yet.
Okay.
And so, yeah, just hang on.
I will hang on. Thank you.
Hang on until we can tell you that the system is ready and that everything will be saved and all the questions are right, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry. You may have already said this, but we will receive an email letting us know when we can begin the new registration process. Yes, I promise. Okay. So as soon as the state tells us that it's open for registration, actually you may get an email before we do, but yes, we will be immediately sending out a UPK newsletter saying, go for it. What else? Okay, while you're thinking about what else, the resources that are up here, bookmark the UPK page if you haven't already. It has the most up-to-date information. There's also going to be a bunch of provider guides that are going to be published that'll step you through exactly how to set up your profile, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's part of what is holding this up, is that the provider guide is not quite ready. So there's other state resources that are up there. Please make sure you have signed up for the UPK newsletter. Send this out far and wide to any of your families that you think are going to be staying with you for next year, because it has family information on there too. Encourage them to sign up. The more they know, the better. Continue to attend our monthly roundtables. We're going to be looking at the date for the February one based on actually when we think the next set of information is coming out, so that we can be absolutely sure that we're ahead of it with you. And you can call or email the UPK staff at this email address, or Drew at this telephone number, and then he sends it on to whoever it is that needs to work with it. You can set up a consultation appointment with me. Just go to my Calendly link. Send me an email and say, I need the link, and I'll send it back to you, and you can set up a time. And please keep your email up to date with the state. If you don't keep your email up to date, then the bottom line is you're not getting the emails directly from the state. And sometimes they go to you before they go to us. So if you want to know what's going on, keep your email up to date with the state. Do you have any other questions at this point? We've got a couple from the school districts this morning that I'm checking on, and all of that information will go out in a new newsletter to make sure that any questions that have been added that are not were not answered today are answered in that newsletter. One of them was a simple question about, do we know for sure whether there's going to be parallel registration processes so that 23-24 registration is still open at the same time that 24-25 is happening? That would make common sense would say yes. But I'm clarifying it. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to clarify for you and make absolutely sure that that information is as up to date as we can possibly get it. Any other questions at this point? Okay, so if any of you are new providers that have not come into UPK before, we need to make sure that you're in bridge care before you actually try to enroll. So if you are not sure whether or not you're in bridge care, i.e. you can log into UPK at the provider portal and see if you can actually find yourself. And if you cannot find yourself, then you're not in bridge care, and you need to send us an email so that we can work on getting you into bridge care so that you can actually sign up. But those are for new providers, basically. Everybody else we already know is in bridge care. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions you may have. This recording is going to be up on the UPK page by probably tomorrow. So anybody who was not here that you're aware of can also watch this recording, and the slides are already up there. So please feel free to go to that UPK page if you want to look back at any of the slides. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.